Okay, let's talk about a little bit about Throne of Liberty. Let's talk a little bit about this. Okay, I've been playing Throne of Liberty for like what 150 to 200 hours or so at this point. We've been playing for like what 3 weeks, 2.5, 3 weeks. And like I'm just gonna give my honest impressions on the game overall because there's been a lot of hype surrounding it, and then there's there's obviously some negative aspects of it too. So I'm gonna kind of address all of it. We'll walk through the good stuff first. All right, we're gonna go through the good stuff first. Actually, you know what? Everybody always loves to start with the bad news, so we'll start with the bad news first. Bad news. The combat in this game is garbage. Holy shit. And in fairness, it's just because I'm comparing it to Black Desert Online and Lost Ark. Okay? You compare it to those two games, it's not even remotely close. It's not even remotely close. There's a big gap. Now, I will say, if you compare it to the other tab target MMOs, it's really solid in how it holds up. I think the server performance is some of the best I've seen. I think the skill effects look amazing when you compare it to the other tab target MMOs, right? And I think that like the gameplay, I think the targeting system is definitely more scuffed than something like I experienced with Guild Wars 2 and stuff, but like Throne of Liberty's targeting system is really what makes it feel kind of bad as a tab target. It really does kind of struggle to lock onto the correct target. Like from time to time. Like I understand that when you run in from a safe zone, there's like a lag or delay in like you being able to target other enemies, and that's totally fine. But like there's sometimes where like you're tabbing through and it's obvious which one you want to click on, and like it's just not targeting the right person. It's not prioritizing the low health target that's right in front of you. For some reason you're hitting the ostrich that's like way over there. It's really annoying. Like you fix all the priority settings, it's still kind of scuffed. So I would say that the targeting in Throne of Liberty is just the worst part of the combat, hands down. I also think that the tab target is like, it's a very simple system, and it's not nearly the complexity that Black Desert or something like Lost Ark is going to give you. Now, another bad thing about the game is we discussed this before, is it's got a pretty serious botting issue that started a few days ago. And we talked about this. We reacted to a couple videos on it earlier, where there are like hundreds of bots running around. But NCSoft already like handled these bots like once before and like wiped them out on the Korean server. So my hope is that they handle this in a very brisk manner and that these bots are taken care of. But I think that it's really disturbing that I've seen that many bots. It is going to happen from time to time with a free-to-play MMO like this, and they're just going to have to adapt. It's how quickly can NCSoft adapt, and we'll see in the coming week or two. If they don't adapt, it's going to feel like a miserable experience for everyone else because the marketplace is going to get tanked, and people are not going to have as much fun with all these bots running around at world bosses and whatnot. It's going to be a little miserable. Yeah, free-to-play games struggle with bots, and I think that as long as NCSoft stays on top of the botting issue, it should be okay, but we're watching it very closely. But it is a negative aspect of the game as I see a decent amount of bots. Now, Lost Ark has bots too, but like, I think that to give Lost Ark some credit, I do think that Lost Ark has gotten its botting issue kind of under control from my understanding. Based on what Stoops has told me and the other Lost Ark players have told me, the botting issue in Lost Ark is kind of a little bit more under control. It just took them a lot longer. If it takes them that long to handle it in Throne of Liberty, we could be in for a bad ride here. Another really bad thing that I see about Throne of Liberty is that I think that the guilds, the top 1% of guilds, is rewarded way more. Like the number one alliance on any server is going to be getting 10x the loot and 10x the lucent everything that the next best alliance is getting. Right? Because if you're dominating the world bosses, you can basically dictate. If you dominate world bosses, you can dictate, how much you can get a lot more loot at world bosses, right? If you're getting the castle, you're getting like millions of lucent potentially for your alliance, right? And you get stronger. Presumably you have the best players in your guild as well. And the best players can put really special things on the server, which is actually kind of cool, right? It's kind of cool that individual players can like eclipse part of the game and not let people in that aren't in his guild. That's pretty sweet. But also they're most likely to be in the top alliance on the server. And so like it simply gives the top alliance even more of a gap to the next guild. And I think that it kind of really incentivizes people to be giga hardcore, and I think it punishes people for being less hardcore. I think that over time, if you take this like long term, this is a serious problem for the game, because you're essentially going to have weaker guilds quitting the game because they simply can't be perma online. There's always going to be sweats in every MMO. Like BDO was no exception to this. BDO has sweats, but the way to get around that was to just go grind your ass off. The only time you really had to interact with them was at Node Wars and Siege and stuff. Sure, they would follow you server to server and try to hunt you, but like there were ways around that too. You could hide from them, go grind, get your gains, grind for grind, and grind. In this game, a lot of the content is time gated, which I'm going to get to in a second. And a lot of the really big like loot is going to be gated at those PvP bosses. Yes, there are always PvE bosses that everyone is going to be benefiting from, but the PvP bosses really set apart who is getting more loot than everyone else. So like, I think the top end guild and like the top end alliance, maybe the top 2 or 3 alliances if they're close, like ours, Cherno, was pretty close. And so like Cannon's alliance and our alliance, we got loot. They got loot. It was pretty close. So did Invuln, right? But like, it's not like that on every server. And so I could see a huge gap forming between the top end guilds and the bottom end guilds, and that would discourage people to play, right? People just gonna change server. Well, I mean, if you think it's not gonna develop like that on other servers, you're crazy. It's the systems of the game that are incentivizing the top end guilds to be those top end guilds, right? And I think that over time, the hype for the game will kind of relax a little bit, and people will want to take more of a 9-to-5 approach on the game, not like a 24-hour approach on the game. Right now, everybody's binging the game super hard, and like I think that people will want to calm down after a while, and they'll want to get into a rhythm. They'll get on top of their gear, and they're going to want to do their thing. One of the things that I think that Throne has going for it, but also has going against it, is all the events that it runs. So like every other hour, you're running events with your guild. This is good and bad. It's good because even when you reach that top end of gear, the really top end, you still have something to do. You still have a reason to get together with your guild and do stuff. People still having a lot of fun with that. But it also means that there's always something to fucking do, and it can be quite exhausting and overwhelming for newer players, right? Having that many... So, the game is complex, all right? In terms of its enhancing system, the trait system, how you get gear, and it's extremely punishing, which we're going to get into in a second. Super punishing if you make mistakes. But add on top of that, you have all these events that you have to keep up on top of too. So like, and I think they did this in an effort to basically mitigate the impact of time-gated content, because if you look at the time-gated content in the game, it doesn't feel super bad, I suppose, because you have your co-op dungeons, you have your abyssal dungeons, and then you have your contracts. Okay, why the abyssal dungeons? This is like the open world dungeons. The open world dungeons, the co-op dungeons that you run with your friends, and then you have the contracts that you run every day. You get 10 contracts a day, all right? And if you're staying on top of all of that, that's amazing. But then there's not much else to do other than the events, right? Do your abyss. I will. I just did all my contracts yesterday, so it filled up, and then I was gone for the last 4 days, so it's been on a family emergency, so it's been a little rough. But it'll get done. It'll get done. But like, I do think that like, it's a little overwhelming for new players to start the game. The learning curve is extremely steep and punishing, right? The time-gated content, players think that they need to get on top of their time-gated content. Like, I can't let my co-op dungeons max out. I can't let my contracts max out. I can't let my abyssal contracts or my tokens max out. I got to make sure that I'm going to bosses. I got to make sure that I'm contributing to the guild and doing those guild events. There's a lot to be doing. Then you've got rift stones and boon stones and all this other stuff that you're doing. There's a lot of complexity to the game. It's a really steep learning curve. And although I like that a lot in my MMOs, because it shows that there's a tremendous amount of depth to the game. And again, I'm going to comment on later. But like, I could see this driving players from the game. Okay. The biggest thing that I see driving players from the game currently is this system right here. Okay. This. Okay. You have to pick 2 weapons in Throne and Liberty, and those are your class. If you re-roll one of your weapons, okay, you re-roll one of your weapons, your mastery is going to be at 0 on the new weapons. And keep in mind, 150 to 200 hours into the game, I'm not even close to maximum mastery. It's like 16, I think, is the highest mastery you can get. And I'm giga active basically all the time. I'm still only at level 10 on my staff. I'm level 9 on my wand. And I haven't rerolled at all. And these mastery things, these are extremely impactful. These are extremely impactful. I think I need to redo mine. I'm not sure which one of these I need to be. I think the staff is correct, but like these are crazy impactful to your staff. So if you reroll as a new player, it's giga punishing. Like, you gotta redo all your mastery and get that grind going. The main storyline, not to mention the skill books, the main story gives you a massive amount of skill books to level up the skills on your 2 weapons. And if you waste all of those on 2 weapons and then decide to reroll to 2 completely different weapons, you're cooked, bro. You have some like skill reroll coupon things that they give you like for free, but it's not nearly enough. And like, you are dramatically punished as a new player for not getting it right the first time. And I think this is a serious problem for Throne and Liberty, because like, a new player is probably not going to get it right the first time. They're probably going to think that they wanted one thing and then realize that everybody else is having more fun in this other thing and they want to try something else, right? Like, the grass is always greener, right? In an MMO, you shouldn't be punished for trying this early into the game. That's part of the problem. Level 6 takes a couple days. Yeah, well, level 6, right? Because you do the main story, you get a lot of mastery, you're doing all your contracts and stuff. And which brings me to my next point, is that like, all of the systems in the game are beyond punishing. Outside of just re-rolling, let's say you didn't re-roll at all. Okay, you landed on the perfect weapon set on the first turn. The chances of you up this screen right here, this is the enhancement screen, is extremely high. The chances of you up this screen, this transfer screen, is also extremely high. The trait screen, I can't tell you how many. Oh, there goes 17,000 Lucent. Blush. Okay, I heard about a player that he was like, I got a heavy attack Talus staff from a boss, and I just transferred it into my current staff because like it had heavy attack on it, and it upgraded my trait, and I was like, brush, that's good. It's so good. Like, but this is the kind of mistakes that you make when you don't know what the f is going on. Okay, like, furthermore, the game doesn't tell you, like, for example, an example of a mistake that I made is when we look at my gear, you'll notice that I'm running on mainly purples, and it's been this way since the first few days of the game. I didn't realize that as a new player, you should start on green, max all your greens, then go to blues and just stay on blues and max those out until you're like 2,900 or so, and then start putting together your purple gear in the background and trading those out. And then once you're ready, you put the purple gear on. That's how you're supposed to do it, right? I just thought purple better than blue. You know what I mean? Like that's I don't know. Like, and I'm, you know, I've played a lot of MMOs. Like, purple's supposed to be better than blue. You don't know this, right? So like, and if you transfer your blues into your purples, you're too early, you're cooking yourself. Everyone else just blows right by you, and you can't progress as fast and you can't get into guilds as efficiently, and you can't do all this stuff because you went to purples way too soon. You didn't know, right? It's not on you. Oh my god, my Stellarite has been on this whole time. Okay, there's another thing. Just total side note. Like, there's this stuff in this game that just gives you like 10% or 15% damage if you just turn it on. But like, here's a fun fact that people don't realize, is that you have to turn it on for both weapons. So like, if I turn it on my staff and then I switch to my wand, you'll notice that none of my wand skills have Stellarite. It's cooked. You have to remember to turn it on for both of them. It's really, and then you have to turn it off for both of them. It's frustrating. Wait, oh my god, yeah, that guy's been playing since pre-launch. You know what I mean? It's cooked, bro. It's so cooked. You like, none of your offhand skills are gonna have the Stellarite. Wait, what? No, seriously, like that. I should make a short about this. I should make a short about this. This needs to be a short. It is what it is. Wait, no way. Yes way. And it's these little things that grief your damage super hard. They grief new players giga hard. Okay, like any player can look up a gear build and like accurately follow it. What they're not going to learn is that they shouldn't really be getting those gear pieces and putting them on. The gear build's going to show them all the purples that they need. They don't realize that they should stay on blues until they acquire those purples, and even then, don't put those on yet. Trait them out and then put them on, right? Like, nobody explains this to people. It's insane. Like, and then these stats over on this left side, I'll admit, as a new player to Throne of Liberty, I didn't even know. I got to level 40, and my stat points look like this. I didn't know. They were like, yo, put your stat points in. I'm like, what stat points? What? Like, do you mean I can click these buttons? What the f? And they all have different effects on my stats? Okay. Right? No way? Yes way. This is a comment. Like, this is not uncommon. I can't be the only person that this happens to. Right? I cannot be the only person that this happens to. I want to level up perception because I think that it helps my buffs last longer. Yeah, and that's basically what I'm good for. And then we'll throw some points into Dex. There we go. Okay. But learning how the stat points work, that was another big thing, right? And then I'll be honest, kind of a W, but kind of an L is that the combat feels like complete garbage when you start the game. Okay. Complete garbage until you hit level 15 and you start unlocking this stuff. Your skill specializations, you hit K, you go to your skill tree, and then you go to the skill specialization up here. This shit makes your skills feel way better. And although the combat is still bad, it's bearable. You know what I mean? And I think it shows Throne of Liberty's greatest strength, which I will go ahead and talk about now. I know this is going to be a little bit all over the place. Throne of Liberty's greatest strength is in the depth of its build diversity. And please do not misunderstand me when I say build diversity. I am not simply talking about the gear that you are wearing. I'm talking about the gear that you're wearing in addition to your stat points on this left side, okay? In addition to the traits that all of your gear chooses to have, and then the skills that you choose to take on your bar, the mastery points that you choose to take on those skills, and then the skill specializations to customize each of those individual skills to your liking. For the lack of depth in combat that this game has, I think that it more than makes up for it in its ability to customize your build to something that you want to do and specialize in. This is a dream game for anyone that really loves to meticulously like customize their build paths and really shit on other players, not because they're mechanically better, but because they outthought them. You can outthink your opponents. You can win the fight before it even begins because you took the skill specialization and they didn't, right? Like, you can win entire fights and get entire engagements because you had one extra skill specialization over everyone else that no one else thought to run because they all thought it was bad, right? And then every build has a give and take, as chat just said. If you're building magic, like, you can specialize against magic evasion and ranged evasion classes, for example. That's what I'm doing as a wand staff mage. I think that my primary targets that are going to be trying to kill me are magic and range. Okay, so melee evasion, I'm not doing super hot against because so if an SNS greatsword or God forbid a greatsword dagger comes up to me, not me. Okay, I'm just dead. It is what it is. Okay, I got outplayed in champ select. It is what it is. But like, I love the amount of build diversity and the different things that you can go through in this game to try to win the fight before it's even started. Okay. The build diversity in this game are really what makes the game shine and what gives the combat purpose. All right. Because like you could come in night and day on 2 different engagements. Stun your dead buddy. Yep. Because you equipped some new thing, or because you have a new skill, or maybe you got that skill leveled up first and no one else has it leveled up that much. Whatever. Or maybe you're running different passives, right? We didn't even talk about the passives that you're running. Like, you can customize all your passives too. It's insane. It's madness. One thing that I think that is an L, like a huge L for the game, is that there's only 3 skill customization slots. There needs to be at least 5 of these. This is crazy. There's only 3 of these is insane. I've got PvP, I've got dungeons, I got DPS, I've got no room for hybrid stuff or small scale PvP, 1v1. I got nothing, bro. We gotta have more of these. They're giving us more for free. KR, we had 6. Yeah, so like, hopefully they just give us more of those. Hope that's something that can be fixed over time, right? Most of my problems with the game, I think we're kind of covered there. We'll talk about the pay to win a little bit. Is it pay to win? Yes, and that sucks. But this is the best way for it to be pay to win, in my opinion. If it's gonna be pay to win, it should also kind of coddle the free-to-play players too, because a free-to-play player could theoretically play this game, buy everything off this shop, and never spend a dime. You can get the battle pass every time. You can trick out all your weapons, have every single morph, have every single Amatoy, everything you want, because it's all for Lucent, and you can get Lucent in game. Okay, so like free-to-play players are very happy, even though it's pay to win, because they don't have to pay anything. They legitimately, you don't have to pay anything. Now, I will also say that this game has tempted me to pay to win way more than a game like Black Desert. But I've been playing Black Desert for a lot longer, and I understand the game a lot more. And the gear ceiling is not quite as high. In this game, you spend $300, you can get a lot more bang for your buck, but then everybody's caught you in 2 days. Congratulations. You know what I mean? BDO, you spend $300, you go nowhere. You lose gear score. So like, there's pros and cons to both games. And I'm not really trying to compare TML to BDO. It's just, you know, it's a game I have a lot of experience with. But I will say, addressing the pay to win stuff, you can either probably grind for an hour or spend $15 on the game. That's where the pay to win line kind of is in Throne and Liberty. The problem is there's a cap on how much money that you can spend on the game. I've never reached it because I don't really do this. But like, there's apparently a cap, from my understanding, and not so true. You are capped, right? There's caps in this game for how much money you can spend per week on the game. But also, you could spend $3,000, $10,000 right now, and everybody on the server would catch you immediately. Yeah, they're gonna catch you within a month. Everyone is gonna be exactly where you are. That's just the truth. That's just the truth. So like, yeah, the pay to win is an issue, right? Nobody likes pay to win, but also at least it's done in a way that actually helps the free to play players. It would be kind of like, and I hate to compare it to BDO, but if you could get pearls in game and use that to buy your value pack every month. I think that a lot of BDO players would love that. So instead of having to spend money on their value pack every month, they could literally just get it by just playing the game more actively. And like, that's kind of how it is in Throne and Liberty, and that feels pretty good. Yeah. Okay, other good things about the game. Okay, there's a bad thing and a good thing about Throne and Liberty. And I should make like a pros and cons column. Pros. And cons. Okay, and this is of Throne and Liberty in general. I'm not necessarily trying to compare it to BDO every time. What did we already go through? Pros. Massive build diversity. Right? Like, we went through all the cons first. Botting issue. Pay to win. Okay. And then we talked about complexity. We talked about very punishing for making mistakes as new players, right? Okay. Y'all leaving the server or not? No, we're not. Are y'all leaving I was pretty excited to fight you at the Boonstone. I was excited to fight you. Well, the guild is reassembled. Were you fighting reassembled or dismantled? Dismantled's the chill version. We converged into one guild because we had enough people for both guilds, but I just couldn't, dude. Like, it's just too many people. It's too much drama. It's just too much stuff. So we did one guild, and now reassembled is doing much better. I'm healthier mentally. Everybody in leadership, I think, is happier. It's just that we're living happily ever after right now in reassembled. So like, you just come fight reassembled. Come drop on reassembled. We'll have a good time. We're not leaving. Okay, so I think that I've gotten the pros and cons, right? Okay, so now we're gonna do more pros. lots of player interaction. There is so much player interaction in this game. It's the most, I've never seen anything like this. Is crazy, because you understand I'm coming from BDO, right? And cons on the other side of it, it's difficult to play as a solo player, right? So like, if you're somebody that loves to play MMOs solo, it's not going to feel as good. Is it possible? Absolutely. It's not going to feel as fun as a game like BDO though, or even Guild Wars 2 for that matter. Pros, there's lots of player interaction, so there's always reasons to come together with your guild, whether it be a world boss, a guild event, a riftstone, a boonstone, but Siege, even though that doesn't happen like crazy often, right? The open world dungeons, the co-op dungeons, the island, right? Like Gigante, the whale, you know what I mean? Like there's just so many reasons to be sitting in voice, and it encourages a super interactive guilding community. You make so many friends in this game. It's so much fun. Like you get to have fun with people that are having fun with the same game you are, right? And everybody's having a great time, and you can be a part of a guild and just like feel like you're having a meaningful impact on that guild. I think that is really cool. Really cool that the game really has you come together as players. And I think that that's one of its biggest selling points, for me. Another pro, is honestly the systems. All right, so let me explain what I mean by this one. The systems of the game, when you talk about MMOs, are fantastic in this game. Okay, both the PvP and the PvE systems are very, very good. Again, at bringing people together and having a good time with each other. The PvP and PvE world bosses, at the world bosses for the PvE, you're encouraged to get into a party, because if you didn't know this, and again, this is another one of those things, you join one of the portals, right, at the world boss, and it's based on your party's contribution to the world boss, not your guild's contribution. So like, you can just pump at a world boss, and if your party has more contribution, has more healing, has more tanking, has more damage, etc., you can get a lot out of that, right? And again, you're encouraged to come together with other players that maybe you have no idea who they are and coordinate together, right? The co-op dungeons in the game are challenging and fun. Yes, they're getting easier now that we're getting more gear now, so it's a little easier, but like, especially when we started, man, you really had to nail those mechanics, right? And the mechanics are fun, and they require you to kind of be in voice. And this is where I'm going to put something in the cons column again. Party Finder ass. Okay. Keep it family friendly. Okay. All right. The Party Finder for the dungeons, because they actually require coordination, right? Like Temple of Slaughter, good luck, bro. Right? Good luck. Like, it's hard to find dungeon parties if you're not in a guild, and this is again why I say that it's punishing for a solo player to play by themselves. You really want to have an active guild that you can run those dungeons with, and sometimes Party Finder is fine. The people are just bad. Then it's bad. Okay, like the people don't understand the mechanics of the dungeons yet. Everybody's being toxic to each other, but this is a tale as old as time, right? At least there's a Party Finder that encourages players to interact with each other. So that's a win. But some of the people I've heard are sit in queues for 30, 40 minutes waiting for a healer to go through, you know, Cursed Wasteland or Temple of Slaughter, because like, you don't really need those. Like, it is what it is, right? Like, that kind of sucks, right, for a lot of people. So I'm not going to sit here and say the Party Finder is all amazing when people are sitting in queue for like almost an hour at a time to try to find a healer, and then they get kicked from the party because they don't know the boss mechanic, and we're on like week 2 of the game. Like, what are we talking about? Yeah, that feels like shit. Tanks, please queue for Cave of Destruction. Thank you. Yeah, see, there it is. Right, there it is. So again, the PvP systems in the game, I will admit the Riftstones and the Boonstones could be better. But they encourage you to fight at different areas of the world, and there's strategy that's involved. But some of the Rift and Boonstones locations are terrible. Okay, and I'm not going to mince words on this. Okay. If you lose the first push, you're just going to get farmed for the remainder of time, and that's just going to be it. It's cooked, bro. Right? There's some of these Rifted Boonstones that are just unfightable. I think Malakar's Boonstone or Riftstone is completely cooked. It's just sitting up on a pedestal, and if you lose that first push, well, then you're pushing up this narrow choke with everyone raining fire down on you. Sleep bombers coming in. They're coming in from out of zone to get you. It's just a miserable experience. It sucks. It sucks. I also forgot to put in here. Very top heavy rewarded for the best alliances. Okay. We talked about that before, so I don't really need to explain it again, right? Like, I think that the top end alliances are being rewarded, and the gap gets bigger between them and the rest of the guilds. That's a little rough, but I'm hoping that the gear starts to standardize after a while, and that becomes less of an issue. But let's be honest, the castle right now is worth... Okay, so you can see that the castle owner is going to get 1.2, those are commas, million Lucent. 1.2 million Lucent for its alliance. If divided evenly among all of the players in alliance, what that's 70 times 4 is 280 players, right? Oh, my bad. That's 4,285 Lucent per player. They don't get the entire loot. It's 30 to 40% of castle. Well, let's be honest. It's going to be way higher by the time it actually happens. By the time the castle siege happens, it's going to be higher. So, like, this is probably where it's going to sit once you include tax and stuff. But, like, you're talking close to $100 in Lucent per player for just winning the castle. For just being the strongest, right? And that's amazing, but it's also shitty for the other guilds. But, like, there should be a fair... I don't want to harp on them too much for that, because there should be a really big reward for winning the sieges like that. I think that that is a good thing. But I think that the world bosses being consistently locked down by the same alliance can hurt the game tremendously. Especially if they don't allow the boss to die and they already have the loot. That can get really toxic really quickly. I've seen it get really toxic really quickly, and it could get really shitty for a lot of players. Okay, let's talk about another pro, because I feel like we have a decent amount of cons, but the game is awesome. Okay, so graphics are incredible. And to add on that, server performance is incredible. Okay, if you've ever played an MMO and you've experienced true lag, you know what I'm talking about. The server performance, especially for an MMO release, has been absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible. So good. And the graphics, the biggest cope that I see online is that people are like, oh yeah, you go play your mobile game, right? Yeah, the graphics in that game suck. It's nowhere near Lost Ark. It's nowhere near BDO. The simple fact of the matter is the graphics in this game are actually really good. The micro graphics, I'll admit, are not as great as a game like Lost Ark or Black Desert, right? So the up close, right? But like when you're looking at things from a distance, let's see if I can go outside and show. The amount of shit that you can see really far away from you and not have it like render bug or textures really up is absolutely remarkable. Absolutely remarkable. Why don't we teleport to here, I can teleport to a Riftstone that actually shows it. There's or to a waypoint. Here, I'll go to Pure Light Tower. This one. This is a really good. Starlight Observatory is a good one. Okay, so if you look out into the distance here, I'll hide the... If you look out into the distance here, look how good the game looks. The graphics are very, very good. No loading screen. Also true, there's no loading screens in this game that I'm aware of. Except for, well, the Amatoy house isn't even a load screen. Let's just be honest. Right? Like, you look around, and again, there's no render bugs. There's no, like, texture issues. I'm sure that some people might have these issues. Look how many players are running around, by the way. Definitely not bots. Don't worry about it. But like, yeah, I mean, I just think the game looks beautiful. Like, some people don't think the graphics look that great. I think that's copium. I think the graphics look, they're not necessarily the best in genre, but I think that they're competitive with the best in genre, no question. They could be, right? The macro graphics are just are really, really solid. Let's see. Again, the server performance, especially for the launch, I was expecting something a lot different. In EU, it's been a bit of a different story, but I think they have it fixed now because they're not being DDoSed anymore. But like, at world bosses and stuff, we can have hundreds of players there and not lag very much, if at all. Sometimes. Now, Cherno's got a massive amount of people on it, and we have seen lag recently, but it's nothing compared to what I dealt with in BDO for 7 years. It's nothing compared to what you see in a lot of other servers for a lot of other MMOs, right? Like, okay, the mounts. The mounts, I am going to have the hot take. I haven't found another content creator that really is going to put the mounts in the pros column. I think the morphs are cool. I'm just saying it. I think that being able to morph into animals is really cool. I think it's a really like unique aspect of the MMO, and that like they're never going to beat Guild Wars 2's mount system. I don't think that's ever going to happen. Let's just be honest. Okay, it is what it is. So like, and every other MMO does the mount way, right? Everybody constantly tries to call me a furry because I like the mounts, and I want to emphasize that I don't like the mounts because I want to have sex with them. I like the mounts because they look really cool. Okay, there's a very important distinction. Very, very important distinction. Yeah, furry pervert. Just yes. I told you, bro. This is why no one wants to admit that the morphs are actually pretty sweet. And I do want to also point out that I think that if they went to a mount system, like I know the devs are currently experimenting with a mount system. Hopefully you guys saw it. I'll show you guys if you don't believe me. Hold on. They're currently experimenting with going to a mount system if they get too bad of feedback about the morphs. Wait, we can just mute me, but you can see that they're already playing with it in Unreal Engine 4. They're looking at doing it where your character literally rides the thing. Now, I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't know how that shit's gonna work with a bunny. Okay, I don't know what kind of crazy shit we gonna be doing with that. But like they are considering moving it if you're really like against the whole morphling change. I know a lot of people are like, I just don't like it because you're turning into an animal, whatever. I personally loved playing in Druid and in Pathfinder and D&D just because it was extremely versatile. You could be a spellcaster, a summoner, you could be frontline, you could be backline, like you could be a healer. It didn't matter because you're so versatile, and you were limited by your imagination. In this game, it helps me like kind of fulfill that fantasy. It's just really cool. I like being versatile. That's why I'm playing Wand Staff, because it's a versatile build. So I think the morphs are cool. That's going to be a controversial thing, and I know that a lot of creators disagree with me on this, but it is what it is. I like the morphs. What else am I putting over here? Oh God. Okay, the narrator in the main storyline is a massive W. Huge win. Okay, most people that play MMOs don't care about the storyline. It would be amazing if the storyline was super good. You know, like World of Warcraft has had some banger storylines, right? Final Fantasy story is apparently incredible, even though I haven't played it yet. Guild Wars 2, I don't know, I hear mixed reviews about that. But like, regardless, I think that Throne and Liberty giving you the option to basically speed run the main story and have the narrator explain to you the bullet points that you missed are a big deal. I think that is fun because it gives the players a choice. I can sit there and RP with the NPCs and really get invested in it, or I can speedrun it and still have a vague idea of what's going on while not slowing down my progress. It was a brilliant move by them, and it was really, really smart. Oh yeah. Yeah, good one, chat. That's a good one. Music is best in genre. I'm just gonna say it. I have not heard better music than Throne and Liberty's music. We've been listening to it this whole time here. I love the soundtrack for this game. Is absolutely incredible. And while other games have captured me on it, I think that Throne and Liberty soundtrack is going to be incredibly iconic as players start to kind of cement into the game. It's just super good. Yeah, a lot of players don't give a shit about music, but the music is crazy, guys. Like, this is one of the songs in the game. It's just so good. It's incredibly good. It's incredibly good. Right? 20k Abyssal. Yeah, I ran all my dungeons yesterday from like 4,500 tokens, so now I have to go do those. I haven't gotten to it. Cons. And that's how you know I'm not sponsored to make this video. NCSoft has a tendency to ruin the good shit that they have going. Okay? It's just the truth. They get some really good shit going for them, and then they just run it into the ground, bro. Amazon 2, this is less in Amazon's hands. Although I will be honest with you, that reminds me of another con. You know it. I know it. We all know it. Okay? It sucks. It's not fun. The game would be better if there was a boob slider, and that's just the truth. Okay? Now, to that credit, with a mind full of courage and heart filled full of love. The outfits are amazing in this game. Guys, this is a completely free-to-play outfit right here. This is completely free-to-play. Look at this. It even puts your guild emblem on the back. Why are we gay? Why are we gay? Well, we got. I turn back around. I turn around. I got the LGBTQ flag on my back. What the f is going on, guys? Okay. Regardless, it is what it is. But it puts your guild icons on your cloak. It puts your guild icons on your cloak. Oh, no wonder I've got the wrong. Just trying to draw my weapon. Put my wand back on my back, but yeah, it's just really cool, right? And if I want to go back in and change anything, mirror boutique. Here we go. I have outfits that look really cool. I'll hide the text and stuff. Look at that, baby. Look at this. Sheesh. This one looks amazing too, but a few friends of mine ruined this for me. And I will not say how, but like they ruined it for me, so I don't feel like I can wear it now. And this one, if you're LGBTQ, you know, it is what it is. You know what I mean? And then the Halloween skins also look awesome. Like if you look at the Halloween like weapon skins that they've got for the game, and we'll take a look at those real quick. I'll pull those up because again we made a short about those too. Upcoming Halloween skins. Look how cool those weapons look, guys. Wait, those weapons are sick. Look how cool those look, guys. And by the way, you can get those all free to play. You just spend Lucent on them. No problem. Look how sick those weapons look. And then the skins themselves look really good too. They're just incredible. So good. So good. We're all hoping for those in the next few days here. But like, again, the outfits are incredible in this game. Take that off. Outfits are really, really cool. Is Lucent real cash? Yeah, there are two currencies in the game. There's Lucent, which can be bought with real money or obtained in-game by just getting drops and selling stuff on the auction house. Okay, so Lucent can be obtained by spending money with your wallet or just by playing the game. So, and everything in the game is sold with Lucent on, like when you come to the shop, like the pearl items or like the items that you have to buy with like money. You don't buy with money, you buy with Lucent. So you don't have to spend a dime if you don't want to on this stuff. And that's again one of my pros for earlier. One of my pros for earlier. Okay. What else am I missing here? One of the biggest questions I get asked is, do you think... oh yeah, combat. Yeah. Oh, I don't think I put that on my cons. Oh, I didn't, There we go. Thank you. We talked about that. Oh yeah, crossplay is a big one. We don't talk about that. Honestly, I'm gonna have to hide my webcam, bro. I'm gonna have to go in the middle. I'm gonna have to. I think the crossplay, I've not heard any problems with the crossplay. You don't have any issues where PlayStation and Xbox are like way behind everyone else, like you hear about in things like Black Desert. Like everyone's playing on the same playing field, and the combat is dog shit enough that everyone can kind of like, the controllers aren't set at a massive disadvantage, right? The fact that the combat is relatively primitive and doesn't have this crazy system like in Lost Ark or Black Desert means that controller players feel like they can keep up with the keyboard warriors. Except in chat PvP, we destroy them there still. It is what it is, right? Console gets 2 FPS on large scale. True, the console's FPS is a little bit lower, or definitely lower when you get into like the hundreds and hundreds of player battles, but like, blame Sony for that, blame Xbox for that. Like as far as the crossplay between players, if you're in a 1v1 small scale and vast majority aspects of the game, you're not behind in content, right? Crossplay is really solid. Yeah, you're gonna have some performance issues just like the computers do sometimes, but like, you know, you're just gonna get that because you bought a console instead of a computer, you know what I mean? But like, I think it's just as good as it's basically gonna get in this case. One of the biggest questions that I get is Throne and Liberty going to be playable long term? Do I think that players are going to be playing this game in 2 to 3 months, in 1 year, in 2 years, in 5 years? And I'm just going to keep it an honest. I'm just going to be honest. I think that in 1 year, the game will have declined dramatically. I think you're looking at a peak of something like 10 to 20,000 probably. Assuming Ensign CSoft doesn't completely tank it. Okay. 10 to 20,000 though is a reasonably healthy player base. Okay. And that's kind of where Lost Ark sits like 20 to 30,000 normally, I think. Although they're 10 to 20,000 or so right now. And BDO normally sits in the 20,000s, but it's currently at 8,000 because Jae-hee Kim is a piece of shit. But like, I think that overall, I think the game will maintain a really solid like core of players that plays it long term. I do think that many players, like 90% of the current players, are going to quit playing the game within the next 3 months. I could be wrong about that. And I hope I'm wrong about that. But like, that's typically how MMO releases go. And I'll be honest with you, there's already people starting to express frustrations with the game on one thing or another. Like, we can't get loot from world bosses because the PvP is obnoxious. Or they just have too many people. There are no lifing and they get all the rewards and we don't. Like, and then the combat, you know what I mean? Like, it'll depend a lot on the other, like the state of the other MMOs. If Lost Ark is dog shit, this is not a bad game to look at. If Lost Ark and BDO are dog shit, it's not a good game to look at. I think it will maintain a fair amount of players, but I think that in 6 months, you're looking at the game basically evening out. In 3 months, you're going to look at the game basically leveling off to the player base that I think it probably will sit at. And then, assuming NCSoft doesn't kill it from there, it should maintain those players, in my opinion. I do think that for a lot of players that love PvP and MMOs, it's a great game to fit that niche because you constantly have PvP events happening. You constantly have reasons to group up and go play with your guild. I think that the combat is a serious issue for those players, though. I think that those players would rather play Lost Ark and Black Desert, assuming that those games weren't dog shit. Because the combat is stronger in those games. But if the systems in those games are not good enough, they will keep playing this one, right? So it's really hard to say. I think that like I'm gonna continue making content for it. I really enjoy TNL. I'm hoping that as long as all my friends keep playing the game, I will keep playing the game. And I think that's the boat that a lot of people are in. I think it's once your friends stop playing the game, that's when you're like, okay, I probably don't want to play this anymore, because like, let's be honest, it's not a great solo player experience. But as long as your friends are playing the game, you're gonna have a good time with it. Lost Ark is top down. I think it's I don't think it's comparable. I think you can compare combat between MMOs like that, right? I think Lost Ark's combat is stronger, even though it's a top down. Yeah, I hate top down. That's why like Lost Ark has just never been a game that's been crazy approachable for me. Tried it, didn't like it because top down just is cooked. But its combat is better. It's not even a question. In this one, you can look around and that's cool, but it ain't even a question. So like, these are my pros and cons. It is a free-to-play MMO, which should probably go in the pros column. Right, free to play, so you can try it, and I recommend that you do, especially now while everyone's playing. I think that you should join a guild and like make friends and have fun with them, and like join a community and have fun with those people. I think that people are gonna have a great time. Try some Elder Scrolls Online, maybe. No, I think the game that I'm gonna play a lot of is Guild Wars 2. Like I'm gonna keep trying my playthrough of Guild Wars 2 until I reach max level, and then I want to try World versus World. I think that that's gonna be fun in Guild Wars 2. And then I think I've been invited to do OnlyFans in Hardcore Classic WoW with Soda Poppins Guild in November. We're not really sure when that's going to happen quite yet, but like I've never played WoW before, but we're going to try that in November. That's going to be fun, and we'll be keeping up with TNL in the meanwhile. But like we're going to be hardcore on that and play. It's going to be a lot of stream hours. But like I've already started my Guild Wars 2 playthrough, and I do plan on finishing that. Guild Wars 2 is amazing. Once you play that game and come back to TNL, the movement and combat will drive you nuts. Well, it already does drive me nuts. The targeting is a nightmare. We talked about this at the start of the video. This is one of my biggest problems with the combat is the targeting system. It's so incredibly frustrating. And like the settings, yeah, you can set it up in your settings, but it's still wonky. Even if you have it set up, bro, it's wonky as fuck. It's annoying. It's annoying. So like there's pros and cons to this game. This is my honest take after about 150 to 200 hours, and I run a guild. To put this in perspective, I run a guild that is a high-end competitive guild that competes with some of the best guilds on the server. Obviously, we're not stronger than Ethereum, but like we go head-to-head with Cannon's Alliance, we go head-to-head with Invuln and the other streamers, and Shroud and Stoops and all them. And like, so like, we're definitely head-to-head on this. And so this is a feedback from a player that is in one of these top alliances, looking at everyone else. And so we're probably having the most fun out of everyone. Okay. And I think that over time, players will realize that this is kind of a PvP-oriented MMO, and that will drive people from the MMO. I think that if they don't fix the complexity issue in the short term, it will drive people from the game in droves. Being punished really hard for re-rolling your weapons and your mastery, and then constantly being completely destroyed because you made a mistake on leveling up or transferring your item is completely cooked. And that was not how they should have launched the game in the first place. But like, they said that they're working on that stuff. So I'm hoping that they should give 3 full weapon reroll coupons for free. You should be able to reroll like 1.5 times for free. All masteries, all skills get rolled over, especially at the start of the game. Maybe they expire after like a month or something. But like, whatever, however you want to do it, like they need to offer players more of an option so that they can land in the class that they love. The thing about MMOs that really pulls players in, it's kind of like League of Legends in this regard. And I hate to compare it to League, but the reason a lot of people love League of Legends is because everybody can find a champion that they commune with, that they vibe with, that they relate with on like a spiritual level, right? And in MMOs, it is no different. The League is shit. It absolutely is shit. It is 100% shit. But it's a good example. In MMOs, it is no different. If you don't find a class that you really vibe with in an MMO, you're much less likely to keep playing that MMO. I think that the more opportunities you give players to find the class and the weapons that they should be playing, the more players will stick with the game long term, and the more money you will make as a company, and that's the brutal truth. The flagging system in TNL is annoying as AF. You run around targeting to tap somebody so you can do an actual engage. Well, part of that is because they don't want you to be able to target people from running in from a safe zone immediately, because then the whole game's meta would just be about, I'm going to sit in the safe zone and then run out and bomb you. That would be shitty. That would suck. That would just suck. And so it's good that they don't allow you to do that. That is a good thing. W game, right? They need to fix the bots. Yep, they do. They absolutely do. It's always going to be an issue. They're always going to be struggling with it. They're always going to be fighting it. How quickly can NCSoft address the botting issues? That's the real question. In Korea, it took them months to address it. We're just now starting to see it in the West now. And I'll be honest with you, if it takes them 3 months to solve this problem, the entire marketplace will be, the entire auction house will be a disaster, and the game will have gone tits up before it has a chance to recover. Bots cannot PvP, but they can ruin the auction house. One of the final things, loot and distribution. This can be really annoying to a lot of players. It can be positive, it can be negative. But when you get a drop at a boss and you don't get that drop because somebody else in your guild got it, or because like somebody has more money than you, that feels like shit. I wish that like the boss had a chance of dropping things that were specifically for your character, right? And there was more like they could simply, to fix this, to be clear, they could literally just keep it the way that it is and add individual player loot as well, and everyone would be happy. Right now, it's all guild loot, and it's extremely frustrating. Like, for a lot of players, I know that this is an issue, right? Because, like, if you don't have a whole lot of money, you don't have a whole lot of lucent, you can't bid on things that you get. Maybe you got the drop, you got the Talus staff, and you really want it, but somebody's like, Stoops is like, I have more money than you. You know what I mean? Like, yes, that's cooked, bro. Like, that, damn it. Now, like, that sucks. Everybody in the guild gets something, but, like, and Stoops isn't even a staff player, but, like, I just used him as an example because I love Stoops. But, like, I don't like the loot system in the game being all guild loot. I think that there should be guild loot and solo loot. I think that everyone should have a chance to get things solo, and there should be things to drop for the guild that can be distributed or whatnot. It's just, if they just added more loot system, it would be better. Like, sincerely, it would make players feel a lot stronger. But as far as this video goes, I think that that's everything. I think I've nailed it. These are the pros and cons of Throne of Liberty after about 150 to 200 hours. This is the honest review. It is not sponsored. Okay, honest take on the game and what I think the future of the game is going to look like. Okay, I love all of you. Like and subscribe for more content.